Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tom Carter, and welcome to this latest edition of Sports Streets. We're joined here by Austin Swerp and Adam Wing. Well, gentlemen, guess what? RG3 has finally found a home. The Cleveland Browns decided they was going to take a chance on him. Do you think that this guy's going to work out anywhere?
I don't think he found a home. I think he found a place to shack. And I say that because they only gave him a 2-year deal. It doesn't seem like you're going to be counting on him for much, except for maybe giving him a jolt. The only thing that they do need at this point is a jolt.
Do you think there was a way of them kind of trying to save his career though by even taking him in Cleveland?
I don't know if that's what they're using him for. I think they're trying to squeeze out as much as he's got left.
Is there anything left in him, Austin?
I don't think so. I mean, Washington should have released him long time ago. Now I get it's a salary thing and everything else, but he was injured way before, and then he got injured the next season, and they should have released him, and they kept him and held on to him until now. There's no life left in him, and Cleveland's taking a big gamble right now.
They signed him for 2 years for $14 million. You think that was ample enough?
I personally think that's way too much, especially for somebody who's constantly injured. I mean, yeah, I get he's a quarterback, and okay, $7 million a year for a backup or a starter is a great deal, but I don't see it.
It's a good deal for Cleveland because then they can move to go put other people in a situation to grow the team. I don't think they're going to grow it around RG3. There's no way that you can keep him comfortable and out of injury trouble with no team.
You think they probably picked him to see if they could probably trade up from him, use him as a trade-in, after a little while, after the contract is up, to market him to someone else?
Trade value left in RG3. I mean, here's the thing is, let's just say they go after Carson Wentz at the number 2 spot, right? And then RG3 starts over him and has a phenomenal year. Then, yeah, I guess you could try to trade RG3, but, I mean, RG3 is not going to have a phenomenal year. Let's put it that way.
Well, from what I'm looking at, he don't look like he got much to throw that ball to over there. You got Terrell Pryor, that's a former quarterback. Maybe he can get some tips from him. Maybe he can.
I don't think he's going to look for any quarterback tips from Terrell Pryor, but the point you're making, I think, is great. He has no one to give it to, and you can use his running as an option, but that's been slowly deteriorating ever since he got into the league.
Yeah, he's scared.
So, I mean, unless they bring Josh Gordon back, if he's reinstated, he'll have somebody, but he's got off-the-field issues anyways. You're just inviting more problems than you are solutions if you look at Cleveland's whole roster.
Then, as far as the running back, Duke Johnson, Isaiah Crowell or whatever? How you say his name?
Crowell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a tough spot at running back. I mean, maybe that's something they can address in the draft now that they got RG3. Maybe trade back from the number 2 pick and just wait on a running back since running backs aren't as high caliber as they used to. But
I don't think they will look for a running back in the draft. And as sad as this is going to sound, I think that's their strongest part of their roster. As far as depth goes, you have a guy in Duke Johnson or in Isaiah Crowell who are – they're backups anyways, so they can help out each other in carrying a load for a team that's not going to do much.
So
let's be honest. They're not going to do much, and they shouldn't draft a running back. They should draft a new line. And if they are going to draft another quarterback, which I think would be a mistake at this point, bring them up. Don't throw them to the wolves. That's what you've been doing with Johnny Manziel and everybody else.
Right.
They're not going to succeed there. At that point, you should just play Josh McCown.
So do you think, whatever they decide to do in the draft is going to have a big impact on how the draft even turns out as far as the players to be picked here and there?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, now they have the option of if they don't want Carson Wentz at number 2, which me personally, I don't think they will. I think RG3 is a starter right now, and I don't think they want to use Carson Wentz as a backup for 2 years. They can now trade back, like I said, maybe get a running back, or even stay in the same spot and try to get Joey Bosa at defensive tackle or Jalen Ramsey at safety. I get that defense is their strongest suit right now, but at least make it stronger.
I think they need to fix that offensive line though, because it seems like they have trouble with protecting their quarterbacks. And RG3, a quarterback, to come from a team that already had issues protecting him, I'm thinking about after a few sacks, this boy is gonna stop playing for him.
Right, but they do need to keep that defense going because nothing's going to help RG3's mindset than a defense that can stop the other team. Because once you have a few hiccups in your game and then you go down by 3 scores, then you're not going to build him up like you have to.
But that don't do you no good, though, if you got the defense that's strong than a mug, but you got the quarterback that's going to crack, though. Because even if your defense is stopping somebody, you still ain't putting up points up, though.
What about
And
last
that's
year?
when Josh McCown comes in.
What about last year in the Super Bowl? Peyton Manning wasn't anything close to Peyton Manning, and their defense was absolutely phenomenal, and they won a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying Cleveland's going to win a
That's
Super
a
Bowl.
bad analogy, Austin, because Peyton Manning is a game manager, though.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he don't have to throw the ball 50 yards down the line to
But
control.
he can't manage the defense.
Right. Defensively, if Cleveland can have a good defense, now I'm not saying they're going to make a splash into the playoffs or something, but they have a dominant defense, and then RG3 at least puts together an average season, you'll see them get a little more than what they have now.
It'll at least be a good start for building blocks for an organization that's been trying to do way too much at one time. They should take it one step at a time, build their defense, and let RG3 come as he goes, and then after 2 years, they're probably going to get rid of him.
Which is why I say stay away from Carson Wentz in the draft.
So we're going to see what happens over in that dog pound, because they got a lot to clean up.
Yep.
They got a lot to clean up. I'm going to slide over here to this NBA playoff picture, man. How's that looking over there on the East for these Detroit Pistons, man? Are we in there, or are we still struggling to see if we're going to...
Well, they just streaked at the right time. I mean, they had a 5-game win streak. I mean, I know they just lost, but 5-game win streak, Chicago 4-game lose streak.
Right.
They're right in the 8th spot. Now they're only like a half a game or 1 game away from the Indiana Pacers at 7. They're right in there.
You see anybody possibly bumping us out that playoff spot?
Washington, we have to be careful of, and these games coming up. I mean, I think Dallas is a winnable game. I think at Chicago is a winnable game. But then you have Miami, and I would think that Miami could win on their home court because Miami's really been streaking since the All-Star break. Orlando, I think we can beat. Washington, this is going to be my key game. I'm going to circle it on the piece of paper.
Which one?
Washington, Detroit.
I believe that Chicago game for me is one that, and that Cleveland also, that last game against Cleveland, but Chicago, that's one of those teams I kind of like because they find a way to win. They find a way to lose too, but against a team that they are capable of beating, they will find a way to win. And
I don't know if
Detroit
they're
got to
so-
step it up.
But I don't know if they're so capable of beating Detroit. I think Detroit has more weapons on their team right now than Chicago does.
With the trade, they have beefed up a little bit, I must say.
Yes, with Tobias Harris on the team,
Yes.
the Pistons have became a lot better all around the team. That was a great trade for the Pistons. For my rundown, I think I'm with you circling the Washington game. I think that's going to be one big one. I think Cleveland right at the end of the season. I think Cleveland might be sitting their starters depending on how they are close to Toronto. And for the Pistons, if they're not playing as well as they are right now, that might be the game where if they win, they're in, and if they lose, they're out. They're going to have to try to beat Cleveland, which, by the way, guys, we've beat Cleveland 2 times this year. You can go 3-1 against Cleveland and then possibly jump into the playoffs on a win against Cleveland and then play Cleveland in a 7-game series.
That'll be a battle there.
At that point, I'd rather see them play Cleveland. I'm more afraid to play Toronto than I am to play Cleveland.
Yeah,
Really, why is that?
Because Cleveland, you always know what you're going to have to deal with when you deal with Cleveland. You're going to have to deal with Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. Now, to show that over the past 2 years, they haven't really worked that well together. You know,
Right.
they can both put up points, and they can both make the stats look like their team is untouchable, but they're not. They have a lot of downfalls coming
Right.
from who really leads that team. And I think the Pistons have shown that over time we can give these guys some trouble. We haven't shown that in Toronto,
Right.
especially on Toronto's home court. I don't think we would stand a chance. I think Cleveland has enough going on to where we could upset them.
Yeah, but do you think if the Pistons keep winning, they're really going to try to avoid the 7th spot and just lose a few games every now and then?
I don't think they're going to avoid the 7th spot, but I think Indiana is going to hold on to that more firmly than Chicago would nipping at our heels.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Now, getting back to this Cleveland thing, like you say, they had a little odd whatnot's going on, man. I understand they're having a little mild success. I don't see them winning no championship. My personal opinion, I think they should have rebuilt that team around Kyrie Irving. That's just in my opinion.
I don't
And
disagree
left
with you.
LeBron wherever he wanted to be, wherever he wanted to go at the point he left them, and build around Kyrie Irving. I think they would have some if they did.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, LeBron's obviously probably the best player in the NFL or in the NBA.
Okay.
Excuse me.
He can play tight end too, though.
You know, but you build your team around him, and then if LeBron doesn't produce, the whole team goes to crap.
Right.
It does. So you build the team around LeBron, and it's just like Adam just said. It's a game by game thing. It's either Kyrie dominates, or LeBron dominates, or Kevin Love dominates. It's never all three of those guys are on the same page for one game where they just completely dominate the entire court. It never happens. So unless Cleveland can try to fix that problem in the next 7 games of the season, I doubt it's going to happen.
Because it's not like they're really working together. They're out there like in a I'm going to get mine, you get yours type mentality.
And now LeBron's having problems with Cleveland itself. I mean, just look at what just happened recently. He unfollowed the Cavs on Twitter. He's refusing to answer media questions about it. He's talking about how he wants to be a part of a fearsome foursome with Carmelo, CP3, and Dwayne Wade. I mean, it looks like he's just already thinking about next season by now.
I think that's nice for him to think. Someone who's already won a few championships and knows what they bring to the table, it's easy for him to say. But for everyone else, like a Carmelo who has struggled with the team that he's stuck behind, he hasn't won a championship. I don't think he just wants to ride LeBron's coattails to the next one. I don't think anyone would want to do that. I think that's why Kyrie wants to do it on his own too. No one wants to feel like they're riding LeBron's coattails anymore. I think that's why they want him out of Cleveland. I would bet that they want him out of Cleveland just to show that eventually they can do something without him.
And I agree with that because, they're tired of playing behind him. And I mean, it's that part where like they've had their style of play before he came back to Cleveland. And I thought they were actually rebuilding and looking not too bad.
They were.
And then they threw him back in there, and they gonna remain a contender because they're just in the news and all that crap, and they're gonna keep them together in the sense of trying to be competitive, but they're not meshing together.
And as long as LeBron's there, they will never, ever, not once, have a coach that's respected.
Because they all listen to King James.
Never.
I truly believe
never have one. And until they get rid of him, they can finally start rebuilding. You can't rebuild with a player coach.
Right. It's one or the other, huh? Hey, this Final Four has turned out pretty good, too. We got some interesting teams, man. You got Syracuse in the Final Four against North Carolina.
Yeah, Syracuse was a little bit of a Cinderella story, I guess you could say, other than the fact that they had the easiest schedule out of any team ever to make it to the Final Four.
How could you say it was easy? Every game is competitive.
Yeah, every game is competitive. You beat Dayton. That was a tough one. Michigan State lost to Middle Tennessee State. That's the big bummer.
Yeah.
So then you go play Middle Tennessee State. You whoop up on Middle Tennessee State. And then Gonzaga comes out of,
They don't get no respect for that, though, because, Middle Tennessee State whooped on Michigan State. They whooped up the big
but it's one game, one upset. Those teams, seems like the mid-majors, Jared made a good point last week, and unfortunately he's not here to talk about it, but the mid-majors really don't go past round of 32 often. You don't see that happen. So, yeah, congrats to Middle Tennessee State. They won a game, but I did not think they were going to beat Syracuse either. They played Gonzaga. Gonzaga was an 11 seed. They played 2 double-digit seeds in a row to make it to the Elite Eight.
But as you see, if you lose, you're out. And, they got down on them.
Yeah, you can't doubt Syracuse's skills, and especially with their coach, but I don't see them getting past North Carolina.
What you think about this Oklahoma-Villanova matchup, man? You think that's going to be a good one?
I think it's going to be the best game out of the two because those teams are more equally matched. I think Villanova has something to prove even to themselves, the fact that they've been a high seed before and they've gotten shut out the past few years.
Right.
So I think they have a little more to prove, but I don't know if you can beat Buddy Hield in Oklahoma. He's hands down, in my opinion, the player of the year. He obviously makes his team better. They struggled a little bit towards the end, but they've kept it up. They're beating everyone in the tournament just as well as Syracuse and North Carolina and everybody else. I think Villanova's got somewhere to be, but Oklahoma's going to beat them.
So basically what we're looking at, North Carolina and Oklahoma.
I would think so.
I would think so, too.
Who's going to walk out of there as the champ?
Who
walks away as the champ?
That's a tough one. I think Bryce Johnson and Buddy Hield, it's going to be the competition right there. Who can put up the most points?
I don't think that's true. I think North Carolina takes it easier than everyone's giving them credit for because Buddy Hield is what you talk about when you hear Oklahoma. But when you talk about North Carolina, it's Bryce Johnson, and then you have too many weapons on North Carolina.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's got Buddy Hield. And I think when you have more than one weapon,
They're going to
You
unleash
win.
the arsenal on them.
Do you think it will come down to coaching? Roy Williams in North Carolina? Just being a better coach?
I think that helps a lot.
It's going to help,
Because
but that
Roy
on-the-court
Williams
play
is-
is going
Roy Williams has been there before. He knows how to handle his team, and he can instill that in his team pregame.
on the court.
Oklahoma can't do that. They have to hope that Buddy Hield is the next LeBron James, Steph Curry, whoever you look up to. Oklahoma and all of their fans has to hope that Buddy Hield is that guy.
He going to be that Final Four phenom.
Because if he's not, I don't think he can win. And even if Oklahoma beats Villanova by a small margin, they're going to have to do better than that to beat North Carolina. North Carolina has ran through this tournament just about as easy as I've seen them do it before.
Yep.
They play some good ball, man. It's going to be hard to beat them. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I would agree.
Especially because they weren't necessarily the team to beat going in there. I think the fact that they've built momentum and everyone kind of already sees like, oh, North Carolina, you know they're going to be good. No, but you don't think that this team is this good.
Right, and they got some players.
Bryce Johnson is going to carry them to a championship.
Hey, I want to dip back over here to this NBA right quick, though, man. Russell Westbrook. He's over here leading the league in triple doubles. He had, 7 this month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 in 1 month.
16 so far this year.
Right, like that boy's putting up some points, sharing the ball, and I mean he's grabbing rebounds. Do you think he's that all-around guard that most these
Yeah, I think he's the
guards
best all-around guard in the league.
Pretty much.
He's the best all-around guard in the league, minus Steph Curry. Because, and we had this conversation off camera before, Steph Curry makes everyone around him better. And I can't say that Russell Westbrook doesn't, but we need more from him. And I find it weird to say that because he gives us as much as we can, 100% every game. But you need to be on a team that doesn't have Kevin Durant, someone there to also carry that load with you to see how much better you can really make your team.
I think Golden State more sharing the fame though, and Oklahoma is more. Another one of those get yours and I'll get mine teams. And I mean
That's why they will not win a championship.
Yeah.
I've seen it multiple times at the end of the games for OKC where it's literally like Russell Westbrook will run down the court and drain a three. Why wouldn't you give it to the hot hand in Russell Westbrook? Well, because you have Kevin Durant. So then you give it to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant runs down the court, misses the 3-point, the game's over. That's why you need to get one of the. You got to get rid of one of the two, and
Speaking
Kevin
of
Durant will be the one.
yeah, like exactly. Like you think that it's best for him to move on?
Yeah, it's best for him to move on. It's best for OKC to move on from him as well. I think OKC can build around Russell Westbrook, get a better shooting guard, get a better center, and try to work around that and try to establish down low and let Russell Westbrook run the front court and be done with it.
I agree. I think if Oklahoma City stuck with Russell Westbrook and got some good pieces for trading a Kevin Durant, I think that would make them more of a threat than they are now.
Who you think would be willing to trade anything for? Because you'd have to give up something good to get him.
For Kevin Durant, I think any team would try to give up something for him, but I think, as Austin said earlier, I think if Washington could give up a few of their pieces, they would be perfect. I don't think they'd give up a John Wall, but they have a Gortat or a Nene that they can switch out. I think one of them goes, and I think if you have to, you get rid of Bradley Beal. Knowing that John Wall can score and assist, you have Kevin Durant and a powerful guy in the middle. I think you can replace another guard when you know John Wall is your most important, instead of trying to figure out who's going to play your small forward role, whether it was a couple years ago with Paul Pierce or a guy like Jared Dudley who only does well on a team who's doing well.
Right.
I will tell you, I think the Celtics are going to end up being the front runners because they have more trade pieces. That trade, when they traded Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Nets, they're getting a lot of picks this year coming up right now. I think they even have 2 first-rounders this year. So you can trade a first-rounder, maybe get rid of Jay Crowder. And Jay Crowder, by the way, small forward for the Celtics, he's pretty decent. So you trade Jay Crowder and maybe a first and a second round, depending on how many picks you want to package for it, and get rid of that guy, and then get Kevin Durant on the Celtics and just replace your small forward. Jay Crowder will end up probably being a set piece at OKC as
I
well.
couldn't see him in leprechaun green though.
And here's why I don't see him in leprechaun green either, is because I think if you're Boston, you've put enough pieces together over the years to where you are rebuilding. You're a team that's formidable in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Washington is too, but my problem with Washington is that they had their spurt of good years where they could either define themselves as a good team or make a Cinderella-like run. I think that's over.
Yep.
And I think they would do better from getting a Kevin Durant piece who's going to take some of the load off everybody else. I think Boston right now is in a good position to grow from within. They have Marcus Smart. Isaiah Thomas has come over and been a savior for them. Yep. Kelly Olynyk is good. And
Jay Crowder.
Your guy, Jay Crowder, they have pieces in Boston to use, and I don't think they necessarily be in a hurry to give those up for Kevin Durant, who at this point you don't know how he's going to help your team.
Yeah,
he's going to give you some points. That's definitely.
He's going to give you some points, but defensively, you don't know really. You're not getting a super solid piece, and you're going to just take more shots away from Isaiah Thomas, who's done a pretty good job at carrying them to a solid middle seed.
Speaking of the little big man, you see his block on Chris Paul the other day?
Yeah.
I mean, he chased him all the way down the court and
guard
battle
blocks.
with a little big man.
Guard blocks are good, but they're just about as important as Dwight Howard hitting a 3 in the All-Star game. They are few and far between, and they're nice to see, but I don't think that's going to be carrying anybody through.
Yeah. All right, guys. That was great, man. I appreciate y'all time. Thank y'all for joining us today on Sports Street, man. Y'all have a good one. See you.